So the sheet that I gave you is also found in your email. I did email you this sheet, and the sheet that I emailed you will have color on it so you can see it a little bit more easily. I'm going to use somebody's NWEA that I've crossed off the names just to use an example to talk to you about it. So you got the NWEA sheet that looks like this, and we are looking at the math for this class, okay? So the math one right now, let me see if I can make it a little bigger. Okay, so we're focusing on the math, and the scribbles don't mean anything. I was trying to scribble out the name, and then I had the thing too small, and it scribbled out that too. So if we're looking at the math right now, this is the score that you scored in the fall. Then this is the next box is the winter. If you only have one box, it means I don't have a test for you either in the fall or the winter, one of them, okay? So fall, winter, and then the dotted line is your projected RIT that NWEA says you should reach, okay? Some of you might already be over the dotted line. You want to stay there, okay? The score that we're counting for all the things I'm about ready to talk about is the spring score only. So if you got higher, you still have to stay there. You can't blow off the test and say, well, I already scored it. You have to stay at that level or go higher, okay? The reason I like NWEA better than any other test is because it measures your growth. It doesn't measure what anybody else is doing. It measures you and your growth. And to me, it's much more aligned with a growth mindset, right? So that's what I'm looking for, is that growth mindset. You are growing. You have learned this year. And frankly, I don't really care what the numbers are as long as you're moving in the right direction. Having said that, there are some things that are going to be tied to those numbers, and I will talk to you about that. Any questions right now on how to read the math sheet? So Ms. Monroe will talk to you about your ELA scores. This person, you can see, did exactly what I want them to do in math. They're growing in math. In ELA, went down a little bit, but still very high when you see the grade level scores. So that's actually kind of normal when you get pretty high up, but that person really needs to focus on the ELA test so they can get up even higher, okay? So really what we're looking for is this movement right here. This is what we like, okay? In the colored sheet that I emailed to you, you're going to see green areas that are highlighted. That's where your strengths are showing. And then the yellow is probably the areas that you're really going to want to work on. And one of the ways you can work on those areas is with the math learning path, okay? In a minute, not yet, I am going to ask you to do something with this sheet. I want you to give yourself a goal. Don't do it yet, though, because I want to show you some things that might change your mind about your goal. So in here, this little line, my goal, I want you to put a goal there, an actual number for your test. I don't want you to say, I'm going up 4 points. I want you to say, I'm scoring a whatever. Just put the number. Don't write the sentence. And then right here, these lines are going to be your student action plan. What can you do between now and the time we take that NWEA test to reach your goal? Now, you're not going to say, I'm going to learn everything I should have learned in 6th grade. You can't do that. But you can get a good night's sleep. You can take your time. You can have a growth mindset. You can and will show your work on every problem because I'm grading that, and I'll talk to you about how I'm grading this. There are lots of things you can do now to improve that score. The math learning path is a good way. All right, any questions about this score and how to read this document? All right, so don't put your score down yet, but that's where you're going to be doing that. I'm asking you to do that, and that'll actually be a grade today. All right. I also want you to see some of the documents that we're using for NWEA. The first thing I want you to see is how I'm going to grade the test, because I'm actually going to give you a grade in the grade book based on this test. And I'll show you what that looks like. So for NWEA spring score, your grade in the grade book is going to be based on what you score. If you score at grade level for math, which is a 222, and I'll show you that chart in a minute, or above, you get an A on the test. But there might be some people that that's not even feasible for you. So if you score at